Imagine waking up one morning and discovering something remarkable. Your phone is completely silent. No angry messages, no endless arguments, no notifications pulling you into someone else's conflict, no gossip demanding your attention, no pressure to defend yourself, just silence. For a brief moment, you feel something unfamiliar. Your shoulders relax, your breathing slows, your mind becomes clear. Then a question quietly appears. When was the last time you truly felt this peaceful? For many people, the answer is difficult to remember, because somewhere along the way, chaos became normal, arguments became entertainment, stress became routine, constant drama became a way of life. And the most dangerous part is this: we often don't realize we're living inside it. Imagine standing beside a river after heavy rain. The water rushes past with incredible force, branches crash into rocks. Mud clouds the current. The noise is overwhelming. If you've lived beside that river your entire life, eventually you stop noticing how loud it is. The chaos begins to feel ordinary. Many people experience life exactly this way. They wake up to negative news, scroll through outrage on social media, listen to complaints at work, become involved in family conflicts, replay old arguments in their minds, carry emotional battles long after they have ended. Day after day, week after week, year after year, without realizing that the mind has become addicted to disturbance. Pause for a moment and ask yourself something honest. How much of your exhaustion comes from your responsibilities, and how much comes from unnecessary drama? There is a difference. One builds your life, the other quietly drains it. Picture a man carrying 2 buckets up a hill every morning. One bucket is filled with clean water for his family. The other is filled with heavy stones. A traveler asks, "Why are you carrying both?" The man replies, "I need the water, but why the stones?" He looks confused. "I've carried them for so long that I forgot I could put them down." How many emotional stones are you still carrying? Old resentments, arguments that ended years ago, people who misunderstood you, insults you replay every night. The need to prove yourself, the desire to have the last word. Most of them no longer serve you, yet they continue stealing your peace. The Stoics understood something extraordinary. Not every battle deserves your energy. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire filled with political conflict. Generals disagreed with him. Citizens criticized him. Enemies threatened Rome. If anyone had reason to react to every insult and every disagreement, it was him. Yet in his private journal, he repeatedly reminded himself of one simple truth: the best revenge is not to become like your enemy. Think about those words. Every argument invites you to become angry. Every insult tempts you to become cruel. Every act of disrespect encourages you to abandon your own values. The greatest danger isn't losing the argument, it's losing yourself while trying to win it. Imagine someone handing you a burning piece of charcoal. Their hope is that you'll throw it back. Instead, you simply refuse to pick it up. Who remains burned? Much of life works exactly that way. Drama requires participation. Without your reaction, it loses much of its power. There is an old story about a wise monk living in a quiet village. One afternoon, an angry man arrived at the monastery. He shouted insults, accused the monk of terrible things, demanded an argument. The monk remained silent. Eventually, the man grew tired and walked away. One of the younger students asked, "Master, why didn't you defend yourself?" The monk smiled gently. "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, who does the gift belong to? The person offering it. So it is with anger." The lesson spread through the village for generations. Not every emotional invitation deserves acceptance. Modern psychology tells us something remarkably similar. Our brains are naturally drawn toward emotional intensity. Negative experiences activate powerful survival systems. Conflict captures attention. Outrage keeps us focused. The brain mistakenly believes that if something feels emotionally intense, it must be important. This is why one harsh comment can overshadow 100 compliments. Why one disagreement can dominate an entire day. Why we replay arguments long after they have ended. Our minds confuse emotional volume with emotional value, but they are not the same. Imagine sitting in a theater. The loudest actor isn't always the hero. Sometimes the loudest voice belongs to the villain. Life is no different. Just because something is loud doesn't mean it deserves your attention. There is another story about an elderly gardener who cared for a beautiful bamboo forest. Visitors often asked why the bamboo remained so calm during violent storms while larger trees broke under the wind. The gardener smiled. The bamboo doesn't waste energy fighting every gust. It bends, and because it bends, it survives. Choosing peace doesn't mean becoming weak. It means becoming wise enough to know which battles matter. Some conversations deserve your patience. Some deserve your silence. Some deserve your compassion. And some deserve your absence. Seneca once observed that the greatest punishment for an angry person is the anger itself. Think about the last argument that consumed your thoughts. How much energy did it steal? How many peaceful moments disappeared because your mind kept replaying the same conversation? The other person may have moved on long ago, yet the conflict continued inside your own mind. That is the hidden cost of drama. It doesn't only disturb relationships, it quietly occupies your inner world. Imagine your mind as a beautiful garden. Every peaceful thought becomes a flower. Every act of gratitude becomes a tree. Every moment of wisdom becomes rich soil. Now imagine allowing weeds to grow unchecked. Bitterness, resentment, endless arguments, gossip, jealousy. Soon the flowers become difficult to see, not because they disappeared, but because something unnecessary took over. Peace must be cultivated. It rarely grows by accident. Over the next chapters, we'll explore why people become addicted to conflict, how emotional triggers keep us trapped in cycles of drama, and how Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca developed extraordinary calm in a world filled with chaos, criticism, and uncertainty. Because perhaps the greatest sign of strength is not proving that you can win every argument. It is discovering that you no longer need to fight every battle. Sometimes the strongest response is no response. Sometimes the greatest victory is walking away. And sometimes the most powerful life you can build begins the moment you choose peace over the noise that has been asking for your attention all along. Have you ever noticed something strange about drama? No one says, "I hope my life becomes more stressful today." No one wakes up wishing for another argument. No one consciously chooses more anxiety, resentment, or emotional exhaustion. And yet, millions of people spend years trapped in cycles of conflict they never intended to create. Why? Because drama is rarely a conscious choice. More often, it is an emotional habit. It begins with something small, a careless comment, a misunderstood message, a disappointed expectation, a social media post, a sarcastic remark, a moment of rejection. Then something happens inside the mind before facts arrive. Emotion takes control. Imagine hearing your phone vibrate. You open a message from a close friend. It simply says, "We need to talk," nothing else. Immediately, your imagination begins writing the rest of the story. "They're upset with me. I must have done something wrong. This friendship is over." Hours pass. Your heart feels heavy. You replay every recent conversation. Then your friend calls. "I wanted to ask if you'd like to go on a trip together." The conflict never existed. Only the story did. Psychologists call this automatic interpretation. The brain fills empty spaces with assumptions. And because the human brain evolved to notice threats more quickly than safety, those assumptions are often negative. Thousands of years ago, this instinct helped our ancestors survive. If they heard a strange sound in the forest, assuming danger kept them alive. Today, however, that same survival system reacts to text messages, facial expressions, emails, and social interactions. The danger has changed. The brain has not. Imagine a smoke detector that goes off every time someone burns toast. The alarm isn't evil. It isn't broken. It's simply too sensitive. Many emotional reactions work exactly the same way. A small misunderstanding triggers an emotional alarm that feels much larger than the situation itself. The Stoics understood this centuries before neuroscience. Epictetus taught, people are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Read that again. The event is only part of the experience. Your interpretation completes the story. There is an old tale about two travelers walking through the same village. As they entered, an elderly man greeted them. The first traveler asked, "What are the people here like?" The old man replied, "What were the people like where you came from?" "They were selfish, dishonest, and unfriendly." The old man nodded. "You'll probably find the same here." Later that day, another traveler arrived and asked the very same question. Again, the old man responded, "What were the people like where you came from?" "They were generous, kind, and welcoming." The old man smiled. "You'll probably find the same here." The village had not changed, only the travelers had. Their expectations shaped their experience. Drama often begins the same way. We enter conversations expecting conflict. We assume disrespect before hearing the full story. We prepare our defenses before anyone has attacked us. In doing so, we unknowingly create the very tension we fear. Another psychological pattern that fuels drama is called emotional contagion. Emotions spread from one person to another almost like a virus. Think about walking into a room where everyone is laughing. Without knowing why, you begin smiling. Now imagine entering a room filled with anger. Voices are raised, faces are tense, your own heartbeat changes. You become emotionally affected before anyone even speaks to you. This is why spending time around people who constantly complain, gossip, or argue can quietly reshape your own emotional state. Marcus Aurelius understood this danger. Each morning, he reminded himself that he would meet difficult people, not because he expected the worst, but because he wanted to prepare his character rather than be surprised by human nature. He knew that if he expected perfection from others, disappointment would become inevitable. Instead, he focused on controlling his own response. Imagine carrying a lantern through a dark forest. Someone else chooses to carry a torch that throws sparks everywhere. They accidentally start small fires as they walk. Would you extinguish your own lantern just because they lost control of theirs? Of course not. Yet many people allow someone else's anger to ignite their own. They mirror the behavior they dislike. Soon both people are reacting instead of thinking. This is how drama grows. One reaction creates another. Another creates another. Until no one remembers where the conflict truly began. There is a story about a blacksmith who forged swords for warriors. One day, a young apprentice asked, "Master, what ruins the strongest blade?" The blacksmith held up a perfectly crafted sword and replied, "Not the enemy." "Then what?" "Neglect. A blade ignored will slowly rust itself." The same is true of the human mind. If we neglect self-awareness, patience, and discipline, emotional habits slowly take over. Resentment becomes easier than forgiveness. Defensiveness becomes easier than curiosity. Reaction becomes easier than wisdom. Seneca believed that anger was a temporary form of madness. Why? Because anger narrows our perspective. When emotions surge, the mind becomes convinced that immediate action is necessary. Send the message now. Say the hurtful words now. Prove your point now. But wisdom speaks differently. It whispers, wait. Imagine throwing a stone into a calm pond. The water becomes disturbed. Would you expect to see your reflection clearly in that moment? No, you wait. Only after the surface settles can you see clearly again. The mind works exactly the same way. The most important decisions should never be made in the middle of emotional turbulence. They should be made after calm returns. Modern psychology agrees. When our emotions are highly activated, the brain areas responsible for thoughtful reasoning become less effective. This is why people often say things they later regret, not because they are bad people, but because they allowed emotion to become the driver while wisdom sat quietly in the passenger seat. Imagine sitting beside a river. Leaves float by on the current. Some are green, some are brown, some move quickly, others drift slowly. You notice each one, but you do not jump into the river to chase every leaf. Thoughts deserve the same treatment. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every disagreement deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. The Stoics understood that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is responsible, because a peaceful mind makes wiser decisions. It loves more deeply, it forgives more easily, and it becomes far more difficult for unnecessary drama to control. In the next chapter, we'll step into the lives of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca to discover how they remained calm while surrounded by war, betrayal, criticism, and political chaos. Because true strength is not measured by how loudly you fight. It is measured by how peacefully you choose to live when the world keeps inviting you into conflict. Imagine standing in the center of a crowded marketplace. Merchants shout over one another. Children run through the streets. Arguments erupt between strangers. Coins clatter onto wooden tables. Animals pull heavy carts through narrow roads. The noise is constant. The distractions never end. Now imagine one person walking calmly. Through all of it, their pace never changes. Their breathing remains steady. Their attention stays focused. The marketplace has not become quieter. The person has become calmer. That is the heart of Stoicism. The Stoics never promised a peaceful world. They taught us how to become peaceful people in an often noisy world. Marcus Aurelius knew this lesson better than most. History remembers him as an emperor, but history often forgets the weight he carried. His reign was marked by war along Rome's borders. A devastating plague spread through the empire. Political conspiracies threatened his leadership. Trusted advisors disappointed him. People questioned his decisions. Every day brought new problems demanding immediate attention. If anyone had an excuse to become angry, overwhelmed, or consumed by conflict, it was Marcus. Yet every night he returned to the same quiet practice. He wrote, not speeches for the public, not commands for his soldiers, private reminders to himself. He wasn't trying to change everyone around him. He was trying to govern the one kingdom completely under his control, his own mind. One reminder appeared again and again. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. At first, those words sound impossible. How can someone choose not to feel hurt? Marcus wasn't denying pain. He wasn't pretending insults never happened. He was reminding himself that between an event and his response, there was always a choice. Imagine someone throws mud at a marble statue. The mud lands on its surface, but the marble underneath remains unchanged. After the rain falls, the statue is clean again. Your character can become like that marble. Other people's words may touch your life. They do not have to stain your soul. Epictetus understood this perhaps better than anyone. Before becoming one of history's greatest Stoic teachers, he lived as a slave. his freedom was taken from him. His choices were limited. He experienced hardship most people can barely imagine. Yet even under those conditions, he reached an extraordinary conclusion. No one could imprison his mind without his permission. Think about how powerful that idea is. People may misunderstand you, they may criticize you, they may reject you, they may spread rumors, but they cannot force you to become bitter. That decision remains yours. There is an old story about a traveler walking through a village where everyone seemed eager to argue. The first person insulted him. He smiled and continued walking. The second demanded that he defend himself. Again, he kept walking. The third shouted, "Why won't you fight back?" The traveler stopped for a moment and replied, "Because I refuse to rent space in my mind to people who have never earned the right to live there." Then he quietly continued his journey. How much of your mental energy is being rented out today? How many people occupy your thoughts without paying anything in return? The coworker who criticized you, the stranger on the internet, the family member who refuses to understand you, the person who left years ago. Every minute spent replaying those moments is a minute no longer available for peace. Seneca offered another remarkable insight. He believed that anger punishes the person holding it more than the person receiving it. Imagine carrying a burning torch because you hope someone else will eventually feel the heat. Who suffers first? You do. Resentment works the same way. It asks you to carry emotional fire every day while hoping another person will eventually be burned by it. The Stoics chose a different path. They chose to set the torch down, not because others deserved forgiveness, but because they deserved freedom. There is a story from ancient Greece about two sculptors working on separate statues. The first sculptor became furious every time someone criticized his work. He argued with visitors. He defended every decision. He lost sleep trying to convince everyone that his statue was perfect. The second sculptor listened quietly. Some advice he accepted, some he ignored, but every evening he returned to his work with the same peaceful focus. Years later, people no longer remembered the arguments. They remembered the statue. Character has a quiet way of outlasting conflict. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He knew that winning every debate would never bring lasting peace, but mastering himself would. Imagine rowing a boat across a lake. Suddenly another boat crashes into yours. You become angry. You shout. You demand an apology. Then you notice something surprising. The other boat is empty. It had simply drifted with the current. Your anger immediately disappears. Why? Because the story changed. Now consider this. Many people who hurt others are drifting through life carrying pain you cannot see. Fear, loneliness, insecurity, childhood wounds, unhealed disappointment. This does not excuse harmful behavior, but it often explains it. Understanding someone's pain does not mean accepting mistreatment. It means refusing to let their pain become your own. That is compassion guided by wisdom. The Stoics believed that emotional maturity means responding according to your values rather than reacting according to someone else's behavior. If another person becomes impatient, practice patience. If another person becomes cruel, choose dignity. If another person seeks conflict, offer calm or quietly leave. Do not let someone else's lack of self-control become permission to lose yours. There is a Japanese proverb that says, "The bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists." Bamboo survives storms not because it is weak, but because it understands flexibility. Peace often requires the same kind of strength. It takes courage to walk away from unnecessary arguments. It takes discipline to remain silent when your ego demands the last word. It takes confidence to stop explaining yourself to people determined to misunderstand you. That is not weakness, it is mastery. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your thoughts. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every accusation deserves your defense. Not every conflict deserves your participation. Sometimes the wisest answer is a calm smile. Sometimes it is silence. Sometimes it is simply walking away with your character untouched. We'll explore practical stories and daily Stoic habits that help ordinary people break free from cycles of conflict, establish healthy boundaries, and create a life where peace is no longer an occasional visitor but a permanent way of living. Because the strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. More often, it is the one who has learned that protecting their peace is more valuable than proving a point. Imagine walking through a beautiful garden. The morning air is cool, birds sing from the trees, flowers bloom in every direction. For a moment, everything feels peaceful. Then you notice a single patch of weeds. You kneel down and begin pulling them out. But instead of stopping when the weeds are gone, you spend the rest of the day staring at the empty patch of soil. You forget the flowers. You ignore the trees. You stop hearing the birds. One small imperfection steals your attention from an entire world of beauty. Drama often works the same way. It convinces us that one conflict deserves all of our focus. One insult becomes the center of our day. One disagreement overshadows 100 moments of peace. The problem is not always the event itself. It is the amount of space we allow it to occupy in our minds. There is a story about a young businessman named Daniel. He was talented, hardworking, and respected by his colleagues. Yet every evening, he returned home emotionally exhausted, not because of the work, but because of one co-worker. Every meeting included criticism. Every project brought sarcastic remarks. Every conversation felt like a competition. Daniel replayed those interactions. On his drive home, he discussed them during dinner. He thought about them before falling asleep. Even on weekends, his mind returned to the same person. One afternoon, an older mentor noticed the frustration on Daniel's face. He asked, "How many hours do you work each day?" "About 8. "And how many hours does your co-worker live in your mind?" Daniel paused. "If I'm honest, almost all day." The mentor smiled gently. "So you're giving someone 8 hours at work and 16 more for free." Those words changed everything. Daniel realized something he had never considered. The real prison wasn't the co-worker. It was his inability to leave the conflict behind. He couldn't control another person's behavior, but he could stop giving that behavior unlimited space in his thoughts. That realization became the beginning of his freedom. Marcus Aurelius practiced a similar mindset. He reminded himself that other people's actions belonged to them. His own character belonged to him. He refused to allow another person's flaws to dictate his own peace. Imagine holding a mirror. Someone walks by with muddy hands and splashes dirt across the glass. For a moment, the reflection disappears. Would you conclude that your face had become dirty? Of course not. You would simply clean the mirror. Negative encounters often cloud our perception in the same way. They don't change who we are. They only distort how clearly we see ourselves. The challenge is remembering not to mistake temporary dirt for permanent truth. There is another story, this time about an elderly woman who owned a small bookstore. Her shop was peaceful. Warm light filled every corner. Soft music played quietly in the background. People visited not only to buy books but to enjoy the calm atmosphere. One day, a customer stormed inside, shouting and accusing her of poor service. Everyone in the store became silent. The woman listened patiently. She apologized for the misunderstanding and offered to help. The customer continued yelling. Finally, after several minutes, he left. One of the regular customers asked, "How did you stay so calm?" The woman smiled. "If I had joined his anger, there would have been 2 unhappy people instead of 1. That simple response carried enormous wisdom. Peace is often protected one decision at a time. Psychologists describe something called the negativity bias. Our brains naturally remember criticism more vividly than praise. One insult can outweigh 10 compliments. One embarrassing moment can overshadow months of success. This bias once helped humans survive by paying close attention to threats. Today, however, it often keeps us trapped in unnecessary emotional loops. The Stoics understood this long before psychology gave it a name. They deliberately practiced redirecting attention, not by pretending problems didn't exist, but by refusing to let them dominate every thought. Imagine carrying a flashlight through a dark forest. Wherever you point, the light becomes your reality. If you shine it only on dead branches and broken trees, the forest appears frightening. But if you lift the light slightly, you'll notice wildflowers, flowing streams, and towering pines that were always there. Your attention shapes your emotional world. Where you consistently direct it becomes the life you experience. Another powerful lesson comes from the story of two neighbors. The first spent every evening watching the street through his window. He noticed every argument, every complaint, every rude driver, every piece of litter. The second neighbor spent those same evenings tending a small garden. She watered flowers, watched butterflies, read books beneath a tree. Years later, someone asked both of them what kind of neighborhood they lived in. The first answered, stressful and full of terrible people. The second smiled, peaceful and filled with kind neighbors. Neither was lying. Each had simply trained their attention differently. This doesn't mean ignoring injustice or pretending life is perfect. It means recognizing that your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Spend it wisely. Seneca once wrote that the greatest wealth is a peaceful mind, not a larger house, not greater status, not endless recognition. A peaceful mind. Think about that. How many people sacrifice their peace trying to win arguments that will be forgotten within weeks? How many friendships end because neither person is willing to let go of being right? How many nights are lost replaying conversations that cannot be changed? Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents an old argument, an old disappointment, an old betrayal. As the years pass, the weight grows heavier. One day, a traveler asks, "Why don't you put the backpack down?" You answer, "I've carried it for so long, I forgot I had a choice." Today, remember this, you do have a choice. You can choose not to respond immediately. You can choose not to replay every criticism. You can choose not to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You can choose not to carry emotional burdens that no longer belong in your life. Peace is not found because the world finally becomes quiet. Peace is found because you stop allowing every noise to enter your heart. We'll bring these lessons together through practical Stoic habits and a powerful 30-day challenge, helping you transform peace from a rare moment into a daily way of living. Because the most extraordinary life is rarely the loudest one. More often, it is the quiet life built by someone who finally realized that protecting their inner peace is worth far more than winning another unnecessary battle. By now, one truth has become impossible to ignore. Peace is not something the world gives you. It is something you learn to protect. Many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect circumstances before they allow themselves to feel calm. When my family stops arguing, when my co-workers finally respect me, when people stop criticizing me, when life becomes easier. But what if that day never comes? Would your peace disappear forever? The Stoics answered that question centuries ago. They believed that peace must never depend entirely on circumstances, because circumstances are always changing. Instead, peace should be rooted in something far more stable: your character, your choices, your daily habits. Imagine an ancient lighthouse standing on a rocky coastline. Every year, storms strike the shore. Towering waves crash against the cliffs. Powerful winds shake the structure, yet the lighthouse continues shining. Not because the storms stop, but because it was built on a solid foundation. Your mind can become that lighthouse, not because life becomes quiet, but because your habits become stronger than the chaos around you. Here are 10 Stoic practices that can help you choose peace every single day. 1. Pause before you respond. Drama survives on speed. Peace grows through patience. Whenever someone says something hurtful, resist the urge to react immediately. Take one slow breath. Ask yourself, will my next words create more peace or more conflict? That single pause has prevented countless regrets. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that no one could force him to abandon his own character. Your response is always your responsibility. 2. Practice the circle of control every morning. Divide life's challenges into 2 groups. What can I control? My actions, my attitude, my effort, my honesty. What can't I control? Other people's opinions, the past, unexpected events, the weather, the economy. The moment you stop trying to control the second list, your mind becomes noticeably lighter. 3. Protect your attention. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you own. Spend it carefully. Not every notification deserves your focus. Not every argument deserves your participation. Not every headline deserves your emotional energy. Imagine your attention as a garden. Whatever you water will grow. Choose wisely. 4. Learn the power of silence. Many people believe strength is always speaking. The Stoics often discovered strength in remaining silent. Silence is not surrender. It is discipline. Some misunderstandings correct themselves with time. Some arguments disappear when they receive no fuel. And some people reveal their true character when you stop trying to convince them. Not every accusation deserves an explanation. 5. Set boundaries without anger. There is a common misunderstanding about peace. People assume peaceful individuals never say no. The opposite is often true. Healthy peace requires healthy boundaries. You can decline an invitation respectfully. You can leave a toxic conversation calmly. You can distance yourself from unhealthy relationships without hatred. Boundaries are not walls built to punish others. They are doors that protect your inner life. 6. Practice daily gratitude. Every evening, write down 3 peaceful moments from your day. Perhaps it was your morning coffee, a quiet walk, a meaningful conversation, the sound of rain, a smile from a stranger. Your brain naturally searches for problems. Gratitude gently teaches it to notice blessings as well. Over time, your attention begins changing, and where attention goes, peace often follows. 7. Stop needing the last word. Imagine 2 people pulling opposite ends of a rope. The harder each person pulls, the stronger the struggle becomes. Now imagine one person simply letting go. The contest immediately ends, not because someone won, because someone became wise enough to stop playing. Many arguments survive only because both sides refuse to release the rope. You don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. 8. Guard your inner circle. Look carefully at the people you spend the most time with. Do they constantly complain? Do they gossip? Do they criticize everyone around them? Or do they encourage growth, gratitude, and kindness? Psychology consistently shows that emotions spread through relationships. Choose companions who help your mind become calmer rather than more chaotic. Peace is easier to maintain in healthy environments. 9. Accept that you will be misunderstood. This may be one of the hardest lessons. No matter how kind you are, someone will misunderstand you. No matter how honest you are, someone will question your intentions. No matter how carefully you explain yourself, someone will still disagree. The Stoics accepted this reality. Instead of exhausting themselves trying to control every opinion, they focused on living according to their values. Character lasts longer than reputation. 10. Begin every morning with intention, before checking your phone, before reading the news, before entering the noise of the day. Ask yourself one question: who do I want to become today? Not what will happen today, but how will I respond to whatever happens? That question quietly changes everything, because peace begins long before the first challenge appears. There is an old story about a master gardener whose flowers bloomed more beautifully each year. A visitor asked, "What is your secret?" The gardener smiled, "I remove weeds every morning." The visitor looked around. "I don't see any weeds." Exactly. Our minds require the same care. Every day we must remove resentment before it grows, comparison before it spreads, bitterness before it hardens, pride before it blinds us. Peace is not built through one extraordinary decision. It is built through thousands of ordinary ones. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He did not become calm because life was easy. He became calm because he trained his mind every single day. The same opportunity exists for you. Imagine standing beside a river. Fast water rushes by, branches float downstream, leaves spin across the current. You don't try to stop the river. You simply choose not to jump into every passing current. Thoughts work the same way. Arguments appear, opinions appear, criticism appears, temptations to react appear. You notice them, then you let them continue downstream, without chasing them, without carrying them home, without allowing them to become your identity. One day you'll look back and realize something remarkable. The loudest people did not build the happiest lives. The busiest minds did not discover the deepest peace. The people who constantly fought every battle rarely found lasting fulfillment. Instead, the happiest lives often belonged to those who quietly mastered themselves, those who understood that peace is not weakness, it is strength under control, and every single day you choose patience over anger, silence over unnecessary arguments, understanding over judgment, and wisdom over impulse. You become that kind of person. In our final chapter, we'll bring everything together in an emotional conclusion and a powerful 30-day peace challenge, a simple practice that can transform these timeless Stoic lessons into a lifelong way of living. Because in a world that constantly rewards noise, choosing peace is one of the bravest decisions you will ever make. Imagine standing on the shore of the ocean just before sunset. The waves never stop moving. Some arrive gently, barely touching the sand. Others crash against the rocks with incredible force. Yet no matter how wild the sea becomes, something remarkable remains true. Far beneath the surface, the ocean is calm, the storms exist. Only above, the deeper waters remain still. The human mind is much the same. Life will always create waves. People will misunderstand you. Some will criticize your choices. Others will spread rumors, test your patience, or invite you into conflicts that were never yours to carry. You cannot stop every wave, but you can decide how deeply those waves are allowed to reach. That is the quiet power of Stoicism. Not escaping the noise of the world, but refusing to let the world's noise become the noise inside your own mind. Throughout this journey, we've uncovered a truth that many people spend their entire lives searching for. Peace is not found when everyone finally agrees with you. Peace is not found when life becomes perfect. Peace is not found after winning every argument. Peace is found the moment you stop believing that your happiness depends on controlling other people. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the greatest empires in history, yet he reminded himself every day that his greatest responsibility was not governing Rome, it was governing his own thoughts. Epictetus lived much of his life without freedom, yet he refused to surrender the one thing no one could truly take from him, his inner character. Seneca experienced power, wealth, exile, and political betrayal, but he continually returned to the same lesson. A peaceful mind is worth more than any external success. Think about your own life for a moment. How many hours have been lost replaying conversations that cannot be changed? How many nights have been spent worrying about someone else's opinion? How many friendships have quietly ended because pride spoke louder than compassion? How many opportunities for joy disappeared while you were busy proving a point? Now imagine living differently. Imagine waking each morning without carrying yesterday's arguments. Imagine smiling without needing everyone's approval. Imagine hearing criticism without feeling the need to defend yourself. Imagine walking away from unnecessary conflict without guilt. That life is not reserved for extraordinary people. It begins with one ordinary decision made again and again, the decision to choose peace. There is an old story about a traveler crossing a desert. He carried 2 bags. One contained food, water, and the tools he needed to survive. The other was filled with stones. Each stone represented an insult he had received, a betrayal, a disappointment, a harsh word, a person he refused to forgive. As the journey continued, the second bag became almost impossible to carry. Finally, exhausted, he collapsed beside an elderly shepherd. The shepherd asked, "Why are you carrying those stones?" "They remind me of what people have done to me." The shepherd picked up one stone and quietly threw it into the desert, then another and another. Soon the bag was empty. The traveler stood up. For the first time in years, he felt light, not because the past had changed, but because he had stopped carrying it. Many of us are still walking with that second bag. The beautiful truth is this: you can set it down today, not because people always deserve your forgiveness, but because you deserve your freedom. So I'd like to invite you to begin something simple, a 30-day peace challenge. For the next 30 days, whenever someone invites you into unnecessary drama, pause, take one slow breath, then quietly ask yourself, will responding to this bring me closer to peace or farther away from it? If it won't improve your life, release it. If the conversation only feeds anger, walk away with dignity. If someone misunderstands you, let your character explain you over time. Every evening, reflect on these 3 questions. Did I protect my peace today? Did I react emotionally or respond wisely? What unnecessary burden can I leave behind before tomorrow begins? These questions seem simple, but practiced consistently, they begin to reshape your entire way of living. Little by little, you stop chasing every argument. You stop fearing every opinion. You stop carrying every emotional burden, and something extraordinary happens. Your mind becomes quieter. Your heart becomes lighter. Your relationships become healthier. Your life becomes calmer. Not because the world changed, because you did. If this story spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is one source of drama you're choosing to let go of today? Your answer might give someone else the courage to protect their own peace. And if you're committed to building emotional resilience, mastering your mind, and living with the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, be sure to like, subscribe, and join this community. Every week, we explore practical lessons from philosophy and psychology to help you become stronger, calmer, and wiser in everyday life before you leave. Remember this: the tallest mountains never argue with the wind. The deepest rivers never compete with the rain. The brightest stars never struggle to prove they shine. They simply remain true to their nature. You can do the same. You don't need to win every debate. You don't need to answer every criticism. You don't need to carry every burden that others place before you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is quietly protect your peace. Because in the end, success is not measured by how many battles you fought. It is measured by how much peace you preserved while the world around you was searching for conflict. Choose peace, choose wisdom, choose the life that allows your mind to become your greatest refuge instead of your loudest battlefield. That is the quiet strength of the Stoic. And that strength has been within you all along.